testimony. Your name?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Keith Elkins, and I am Executive Director of the Freedom of Information Foundation of Texas. I appreciate this opportunity to come here and testify on behalf of the Freedom of Information Foundation of Texas for various reasons. As you have heard, I think that the better benefit for the public in hearing some of the things that are taking attention for possible fixes if the bill were to pass and the date of birth information was not releasable, because as you've heard from several journalists, the only way to correctly do some of the database analysis is with database date of birth information. I could not have done without date of births to make sure that the person that I was looking at in an investigation was in fact the same person. I have also been a state government employee to that job that personal information was public information. The identity being bothered. But ironically, several years later, I was notified by one of those state agencies that my private information was in fact released, that included Social Security information, and that I think that the intent of the legislation to protect state employees is good in and of itself, but as you've heard, there have not been anybody's identity was stolen as a result of the release of date of birth. I agree also with Mr. Watler that the task force may be a good idea. Into a problem in this country, all information and to see how it is being used, what are some of the pitfalls. Out of a date of birth release is a significant threat to identity theft. I think that we could probably consider them a pretty good expert. Freedom of Information Foundation of Texas thinks that this is bad public policy. We think that it would severely darken the light of day that has been shed on government, and in fact, in some cases, it may extinguish some of the stories that are reported that have been brought to the legislature's attention on numerous occasions, and good public policy bills have resulting in better government. Thank you.
If not, but I didn't call you. What's your name?
Nanci Wilson.
Okay, and you didn't write who you're representing.
I'm Nanci Wilson. I'm here representing myself.
Okay.
And I was just going to submit a card and not testify until I heard the union representative's testimony, and it prompted me to check. Or the Public Employees Association? Want to change my. Did a story where we compared the list of CPS workers against the criminal CPS workers have criminal histories. He had mentioned in his that I'm doing these checks so we know who these people are. Well, even after our story exposed that the CPS caseworker had a history of, how do I say this, performing a sex act on himself there as a caseworker. And so I have a hard time with that. They're going to make sure that we know who that is a true public interest that all of us need to know about, and the public needs to know about, because we're using public funds to pay people, and we need to know who's doing the jobs that we expect them to do. So that's my testimony on this. I am against this bill because I use date of birth. One thing I can tell you as a journalist, it does help us do the stories, but one thing you don't see, we don't publish the dates of birth. There's also a paper trail. You all know who's got it. Oh, exactly. They can tell you, oh, here's the people that requested these databases. We know who it are. So if you were to have a great big, group of public employees that had their identity, was that had that data, because there's a record of that.
Okay, and are you a journalist, or what are you?
Yes.
Are you not want to say? Or?
No, I'll say it's just more complicated. I was with the CBS station here, and I just left, and I'm going to work for the NBC.
No,
it's on the voter rolls. My date of birth is available to anybody that wants to go to the Secretary of State's office and look at it.
I'm sorry, I couldn't read.
And I'm not even a state employee, and that's what I'm saying. Mine's out there.
All right, and any of you want to add your date of birth? I have one other card, and Tud Hope.